Hello, and welcome to another episode of The King's Couch. I'm your host, Sulo King, and on today's episode, I have the pleasure of sitting down with Katie Marie of Katie Marie VIP. She is a wellness health coach here in San Diego, and she's got a pretty incredible story to share with us. Katie, thank you for coming on today. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to be here. I'm happy that I reached out to you. And I have to be honest, when I first saw that you had your podcast, I was like, oh my goodness, I want to be on it. But it took me about a week and a half. I was so scared to ask. And that's just showing that one of my mottos, I don't know if I'm able to cuss here, is fuck fear.
Sure.
Okay.
It's free format, okay. So be yourself.
So I saw that you had the podcast, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's everything I'm all about. I love music, I love wellness, and I wanted to ask, and I was so scared about it. I'm so scared of rejection, and I was like, fuck that, fuck fear, I'm asking anyways. So that's just a little bit of what I'm about, is I make bold moves. I put myself out there. I don't know if you remember, we went to high school together. We didn't really know. I was friends with his sister, and I vaguely remember you. I don't know if you remember me, but I was super insecure. I had a serious drug problem. I was anorexic, bulimic. I was such a shriveled down person. Cut to today, I am such an empowered woman. I'm so happy, I'm so joyful, I'm so peaceful, and it's that journey from that, shriveled up, insecure little girl to this powerful woman, and that inspires me. And going through that journey of getting to who I am today is what lights me up, and I want to bless people with that same opportunity.
That's awesome. So why don't we start, like you said, you were mentioning you felt like super insecure, you had a drug problem in high school. Let's start there, talk a little bit about that and how over the years you developed into becoming a wellness coach, what motivated you to get into that kind of field, and basically just a little more about your life. I'm not sure if you have kids, if you've been married,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, by the time I was 16, I had been to rehab twice, and I quit all drugs. I'm smoking weed here and there, but then I ended up going to school to be a drug and alcohol counselor. Very rigorous, intense program. I worked with some sociopaths just out of prison. It was very intense. That experience, I learned a lot of skills, but it just taught me that that's not the route I wanted to go. I wanted to do more coaching and healing. So I've studied learning different energy work and doing all this stuff on myself and healing myself, which has motivated me to want to do it for other people.
Awesome. So how long have you been working as a wellness coach?
Wow. I want to say about 5 or 6 years. I've been doing different coaching. I want to move into more going and doing more speaking, and I'm currently writing a book, Fuck Fear. That's kind of my motto, and basically I want to take all of the different tools, the breathing techniques. I don't know if you've heard of tapping. Mm-hmm. Doing tapping, breathing techniques, all different types of toolboxes that I have reached into that have helped me. Recently, October 17th, I had a stroke. And it's been less than a year that I had a stroke, which most people are like, oh my God, I can't believe you would never know it by talking to me that I had a stroke. But once again, when I went to the hospital, when they checked me in, I was like, "Can I die?" They were like, "Yes, you can die. This is life-threatening." And this is during the pandemic. And I have a son who is 15. And during the pandemic, when you check into the hospital, no one can come in there with you. If you die by yourself. I'm getting the chills right now thinking about it.
I bet.
When I checked in, it's like, yeah, you might die. And it occurred to me, if I die, I'll never get to say goodbye to my son, my mom, my dad. And I'm thinking about all these people who have cancer, who are in the hospital. When they die, it's just done, over with. But once again, I believe in nothing is working against me. Even though I was going through the stroke, I had a clear sense that this is being used for my good. It showed me I never felt so loved in my life. I had random people from all different parts of my life messaging me, seeing if I'm okay. I'm praying hard. I felt just such a level of peace to go through something like that. And so right now I'm developing a course, Fuck Fear, where it's like a digital course that I'm going to have breathing techniques. I'm going to teach people tapping. There's going to be a bunch of different journaling questions. And there's only so many things I can do on a one-to-one basis. There's only so many clients I can take on. But my vision for Katie Marie VIP is to take all these tools that, it's like all these tools in that toolbox. When I went through that stroke, I had so many different tools to use that I was at such peace. I knew if I died, I'm okay. I used all of these things, and it just showed me that all of those negative experiences that I've gone through have given me the strength and the tools that I can handle anything. I mean, I could have died. My whole left side of my body went completely numb. I had slurry speech. When I got to the hospital, I couldn't even pull up my mask. And if I didn't get to the hospital when I did, I could have be permanently paralyzed on my left side. And just going through that experience, it just showed me, like, you have a gift, you have a responsibility to get your message to the world beyond my fears. Like, speaking in front of a group of people, that scares the shit out of me. But I have a message, I have some tools, and for me to keep all of this to myself, I have to get beyond myself, beyond the fear of, putting myself out there, doing podcasts, doing speaking. Even though it scares me, it's like I have, and not just me, everybody, if you have a gift, if you have something, a spiritual gift, or you have something inside of you, it's your responsibility to get that message out, because you never know who you can impact.
It's true. You never know.
Yes.
That's pretty incredible. Where were you when you had your stroke?
I was at home, and I'm very intuitive. And here's something that I want you to know, everyone to know, is you need to trust your gut and intuitive. When it happened, all of a sudden, my left side went numb, and I called my mom, who's a nurse, and she was like, "Oh, you probably just slept on your arm wrong. It's no big deal." And I'm like, "No, Mom, I need to go to the ER." So that's just one thing, is you always know. Everybody has that intuitive ability that you need to trust. It doesn't matter what other people around you are saying. If you need to trust your gut. By the time I got to the hospital, my speech sounded muddled up, sounded like I was drunk, basically. And I couldn't lift my arm up, and these are things that is important to know with the stroke is it's like you need to get to the hospital as soon as possible.
So you felt like you were having a stroke. How did you get to the hospital?
My mom ended up coming and picking me up and taking me to the ER. And by the time I got there, I couldn't talk. They told me you could die. Even the doctor said, if you die, do you want us to do everything to save your life? It's like, it was that kind of conversation. And surprisingly, I was so peaceful at the hospital. I just told him, you know what, yes, but if I need to go, like, I'm okay with that. I was at such a level of peace. I mean, I do remember the only time I was freaking out was when I was waiting for my mom to come and get me. And I was praying. I'm like, angels. I mean, I pray some pretty bold prayers. I'm not like, please, God, help me. I'm like, God, help me. Angels, where are you? Get to me. And yeah, when I got home from the hospital, I saw a little note that I wrote that said, angels, where are you? And underlined it.
Oh, wow.
Like, I don't remember writing that, but I found that note where, I mean, I think, this is just my opinion. I'm not telling anyone to believe about their spiritual life, but I believe that the angelic forces are, they're not so serious. Like, I can be myself, like, where are you? Or I feel like they have a sense of humor. But yeah, no, I found that note and I was like, wow, I was praying so hard and they kicked in because there was one point where the physical therapists assessed me and they wrote in their clinical notes that I would benefit from having 24/7 around the clock care. Because one of the nurse came to me, she's like, oh, you're being released to a nursing facility. And I was like, what? To me, that's not a life. I would rather be dead than live in a place where they're, taking care of me. But I had such miraculous rapid healing that every day I was practicing, and by the time I left the hospital, they released me on outpatient. But when I first got in there, they actually thought that I would need around-the-clock care to be able to learn how to use everything again. So it was hard to believe that happened less than a year ago because I feel so normal. Like, I feel like other people are like, oh my God, you had a stroke. Are you okay? And what I want people to know is the reason that I'm able to be so calm and peaceful through such an experience like that. I didn't just come out of a box like that. It took years and years and years of therapy, coaching, healing work for many, many, many years to get to the point to where I can go through a catastrophe like that and be so calm and peaceful. And I mean, it's just a daily part of my life. Like, sometimes my energy, I have such this great attitude and this high energy, and I was not born like that. That's why I think it's important for me to mention being that girl in high school who had no confidence and had all these issues. As I'm not a naturally just happy, outgoing, joyful, peaceful person. I cultivated that in myself over years of daily practice. Like, I have certain rules. This has changed my whole life. When I wake up in the morning, I am not allowed to check my messages, check my emails, see who called me, scroll around on the socials. When I wake up in the morning, I am unavailable to the world until I do what I need to do for me to center and ground myself. There was a time where I would wake up in the morning with one eye open. I would be scrolling through, checking to see what's going on, and you see some negative message, and it starts your day on this bad tone. Someone says something that annoys you before you even got out of bed, and you wake up kind of grumpy by what you saw. It has changed my complete life that I am not allowed to check messages, even answer the phone until, I mean, I'll tell you a couple of my daily things that I do that make me this peaceful, joyful person. I mean, it's an ongoing thing. It's like I get up, I journal, I let whatever needs to come up, I just free flow, just write out whatever needs to come out. And then I'll start affirming the life I want, affirming the feelings I want to feel, naming and claiming how it is I choose to feel. And once again, this is life-changing. I'm not one to say, let's just be all super positivity. I believe that you need to look at those dark emotions. If you're pissed, be pissed. If you're angry, be angry. If you're sad, be sad. Acknowledge those emotions. If you try to stuff them down, or I'm not into rainbow positivity. Oh, just be grateful. Oh, just write down all these affirmations. That comes after you deal with all the underneath stuff. So I don't skip over, like, I write it all out. If I'm pissed, I get pissed. I might need to, one thing, going to the gym. If I'm pissed and I put on some boxing gloves and punch it out, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. That's partially like how I got into boxing in the first place.
Yeah. Feelings are going to live in your body. You can't just positivity over them. If you have feelings in your body and you don't get it out, I don't care how you get it out. Either dance it out, sing it out, write it out, punch it out. You need to get those feelings out of your body. And I think one of the number one life-changing therapy things, and I know you know this, is if you're pissed, take that pissed energy and channel it into some passion. I mean, some of the best music ever to come to life came from a broken down, sad, low place. And that's why it touches your heart, because it's like they took that pain or that anger towards whatever and then put it into the art form, and you transmute that negative whatever energy, and then you put it into your art or your passion. And that's different for everybody. For me, we went to performing arts school, so I'm not sure what kind of things you did at SCPA.
Me, I was when I first started there, I heavily got into photography. That was my thing. I was already into photography beforehand, and I'm glad I'm as old as I am, because photography now is it's not necessarily a joke, but it's pushing a button and the camera does all the work for you. Back then, I was doing 35 millimeter black and white photography and printing my own prints, and I'm glad I got to learn how to do all that, by going to SCPA. And I was kind of like you, a troubled kid too. I mean, I never got hooked on drugs at an early age or anything. That didn't come until later on in my life, when I was running nightclubs in the music industry. My demon was smoking cigarettes. But going back to what I was saying with SCPA is my mom signed me up to go there. It took me 4 years on the waiting list to get there. I wasn't able to get in until freshman year of high school. My sister had already been going there. And what really shocked me was how kind and compassionate everybody was there. I mean, people were showing me around because they can sense that I was lost, or saw that I was a new face there. And everybody kind of knew everybody, even if they didn't necessarily know each other personally. I got invited to like hang out with people at lunch, and it wasn't like I was fending for myself anymore and trying to just, make friends. It was so organic and natural the way like these friendships and bonds were formed there. And these are people that I still talk to this day. you know, and I'll never forget that experience of going to SCPA. So for me, it was photography and video. Those were my two big things there. And those are things that I still am doing today. I still talk to like Mr. Rothschild, you know, my old video production teacher. And I was on the school-based TV show that he ran, K-Arts, as well.
I remember that.
Yeah, he actually came to my grand opening for my recording studio when I first opened up my studio. And I will never forget him. I'll never forget Mr. Rodriguez, my photography teacher. I actually golfed with his son, Ben, who was a couple years older than me. So I'm always asking how he is. And, you know, I'm friends with Mr. Rodriguez on Facebook. So sometimes, you know, we'll comment back and forth on each other's posts. But I'm glad that was life-changing for me. I feel like it gave me purpose. I went from being like a daydreamer to, you know, crossing those little childhood wish list items off the list. You know, like I wanted to run a nightclub and book shows for a living. Did that. Wanted to own an arcade machine. Bought a Mortal Kombat 4 at an arcade that was closing down. You know, check. Wanted to open up and own a recording studio. Check. You know, the list just keeps going and going and going. So, like, you know, you talking about your book, Fuck Fear, I think that's a great concept for a book. You know, a lot of haters are created, for example, by fear itself because they're too afraid to pursue their passions in life and they think that they can't succeed. So they see someone else out there doing it. Even if that person is out there failing, they'll still sit there and talk shit while at the same time they can't get off their ass and try to pursue that. I always tell people, like, when they're trying to figure out what they want to do for a career or something in life, make a list of 5 things and go through that list, and I guarantee you'll at least find one. And if you don't, off that initial 5, keep going.
Yeah, there's no way to fail. That's the thing, like you were saying about haters. It's easy to sit on the sidelines and watch the show, but you're not in the ring doing the work. And there is no way to fail. The only time you fail is when you give up. It's like if you go for something and it doesn't turn out, then you move on to something else. But otherwise, just sit on the sidelines and judging other people. But what I want to say about SCPA, we were so blessed to go to that school. Was unlike anything else. Where else do you have people from all different walks of life, all different neighborhoods? We went to school with people from La Jolla, from people from Southeast San Diego, from everywhere, all different races, and it was such an open conversation, and it just, to me, it just seemed so normal, like this is just how life is, and it's not. I saw leaving SCPA how separate groups are and how people are
cliquey
and judgy, and I'm from this neighborhood, I'm from that neighborhood. It's like we all went to the same school. We had the opportunity to do the arts and have that expression, which has carried over, and I know it's changed your life, and all of that has made you who you are. And for me, going to dance class, I would dance it out. I had that space to channel my emotions and take it to the dance floor. So, yeah, no, we were so blessed to go to that school.
I agree. And, you know, what's cool is one of my best friends and the rhythm guitar player in the band that I've been playing in for the past 15 years, his son was born like maybe, I think he was like 3 weeks old when I first met Andy. And his son Caleb just graduated from SCPA. Oh, wow. He went there from like, I think, 8th grade until he graduated. Fell in love with acting, was on the ASB. Said that Mr. Swain, the Spanish teacher, still remembers me.
Oh, wow.
He was still there at one point. I don't know if he's still teaching, but even like hearing from him, like, if you know, the future generation, like our kids, talking about how impactful that school is to them is shows you that magic hasn't died.
Oh, being in that environment, I can strike up a conversation with anyone from any walk of life. And some people, it's, this is who you are, this is the neighborhood you went to, and those are the type of people that you're able to interact with. You could drop me in any neighborhood, anywhere, with any race of people, any background, and I can roll right in. It gave me that. I mean, that's such a blessing of a skill.
Yeah, to be like a chameleon, to be able to blend in
I can go
and adapt
anywhere.
to any setting.
I can go to, some La Jolla art gallery and, have wonderful conversations with people. You could drop me on Skid Row or wherever, and I know how to talk to people. I know how, and I mean, you can't teach that.
No.
And not everybody, it just seems so normal and natural for me. And I really believe that going to SCPA and being around so many different types of people and just the open conversations we would have about even racism and all different things. I mean, now it's being more of a let's talk about this conversation. But, I mean, I graduated high school in 2000, so way back. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but we were having these conversations way back then. I'm glad the rest of the world decided to get in on the conversation.
Yeah.
But I mean, we sold racism T-shirts to be able to dance. Like,
yeah,
we talked about other different races and cultures, and we had cultural day, and there'd be like some. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Like, but to me, it just seemed so normal. Like, of course, everybody does this, and then leaving high school and going into the real world and then going and living in Houston and having a son who's half black and seeing like the way that the world is, it's just like, it's crazy.
Right. And does your son live with you?
Yes.
And what does your son like to do? Is your son creative like yourself? Does he have that?
He loves his sports. He's on the basketball team, the football team, but he is an amazing artist. Ever since he was little, he would make jerseys. So I would continue to buy him blank T-shirts, and then he would turn the T-shirts into different jerseys. And then he'd even put the little Nike swoosh, and I'm like, you need to come up with your own symbol. That's, or I would always just get him different art supplies. And some people will look at his drawings, and they're like, did he seriously draw this? So, I just believe, if you have a gift, I'm just like continuing to buy him the supplies. Now he's in high school now. He's 15 now, so he doesn't draw as much, but every once in a while I'll see him get out his pens and he'll draw the players like exactly perfect. So yeah. Do you have kids?
No.
You're like,
no. No kids. I'm the funkle to many kids though.
Yeah.
But maybe one day we'll see. I'm still young enough. I mean, I guess it's kind of a little different for men. You can kind of have kids at any age, really. But I don't want to be like, old-ass man on a walker by the time my kid's graduating high school. So if it's going to happen, hopefully soon. Yeah. But yeah, I think I'd be a good father. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, that's just not the hand that I was meant to get dealt,
Yeah.
And
I feel like if it's
deck of cards of life. Yeah. But I heard it's life-changing and it opens up your eyes to things that you didn't realize before. And, everyone in my band, for example, is a father. So it's interesting hearing their individual side of and take on what it's like, becoming a father and going through fatherhood. Now their kids are all older, except for our lead guitar player, whose kid is 7, and then he just had a newborn baby. So it's interesting watching him go through all that, and he's 12 years younger than me. So it's quite a trip because I feel like a big brother to him, in that sense. And I watched how he's grown in the last, 6, almost 7 years that I've known him. And it's incredible, But yeah, and each, person in my band has a different style of parenting, and it's interesting watching, how the behavioral patterns of these children are. I'm not close to most of them. I think Caleb, Andy's son, is probably, if I had a close link to a child or, someone that I've watched grow into a man like he has, it's definitely him, So he'd be like my closest link to a son, I guess.
Yeah.
In that sense, yeah. And I'm fortunate to have that, so I look at it like this, either it happens or it doesn't. So, like I said.
No, totally. If it's meant to be, and you have people in your life and you never know what type of an effect they have. Like there's certain uncles or certain teachers or certain people that it's like they say one thing to you and it just completely changes your life.
That's how teachers were for me in high school. Like, Mr. Rodriguez, when I said I wanted to be a photographer, when he wouldn't let me in senior year because he got tired of looking at photography of surfers and skateboarders. And why don't you try a video? Well, I'm glad I did that, and now I'm making music videos. I'm using that talent, just doing something a little different, Like I fell in love with music. Music's always been like the most important thing for me in my life. That one connection. It's like you were talking about earlier, is like connecting to music. Like I tell my patients, like when they start getting stressed out, or if they're like in the car and they're feeling anxious or road rage or whatever level of emotion, sad, listen to a song, fumble until you find something that just hits that moment that you're feeling, and just listen and let the healing begin. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm 100% with you.
Yeah.
I've always had a huge thing with music. Like even as be 13, going to all these different underground shows and hearing all these bands, and I've always had such a diverse, the type of music I like is just all over the map. And that is one way, if I'm really upset or mad, there's certain songs that I put on and I can sing with them, and it completely changes my vibration.
Yeah, that's what I love about singing. Like it's a releasing.
Yeah, it's cathartic.
Yeah.
It gets the emotion, and you connect to the music, and being able, like I was saying earlier, to you need to be able to express it out of you. Get it out of you. And I mean, that's how a lot of people end up super sick or because they have all these emotions stuck in their body, which will turn into illness. And by just being able to sing it out, get that emotion out of you, it's very empowering because it shows you, wow, I have an outlet. It doesn't matter what I'm feeling. I know I can put on some music, sing, dance, or I go to the gym and I run to I have certain songs that I have my running song. There's certain songs that I put on that just
get you all fired up.
And I mean, I feel like everyone in the gym is looking at me, and I feel like I'm emitting just such this vibrant,
energy.
Light energy that people can't help it. I'm like, can they hear my music? Why is everyone looking at me? And I really just think it's because I'm so empowered and they can feel the energy, and it completely, so I'm glad that you were able to turn that passion and actually turn it into a career. That's amazing. I mean, I love music, but to be able to take something that you're passionate about and turn it into a career, and that's a certain type of happiness and freedom you're going to feel, as opposed to somebody who is clocking in and some office job, working somewhere, they can't stand their job, their life, and there's a certain chip on their shoulder that they're walking around with that you're not going to have because you're actually living your passion.
Right. And I feel like a lot of people don't have creative outlets or, understand how to, translate and get out that negative energy inside of them. A lot of it too is the way that they've been raised, traumatic life experiences that they've gone through, having shitty parents or, older sibling or even a younger sibling in some cases that have picked on them and messed with them or just, bullying. I mean, now we're in the era where kids have to worry about being cyberbullied. Like,
it's crazy.
It's
I
a
can't
crazy
imagine you
fucking
can never escape it. Like, that is just crazy. It's very easy to be tough behind a keyboard.
Yeah.
When, like, in real life, you might get punched in the face if you were to say
Yeah, back in the day, we handled it on the playground. What's up?
But now it's really easy to be brave and just, like, say whatever you want to say to people. Yeah. No, that's pretty crazy.
But not just with kids. You're watching, like, grown-ass adults be like, I'll unfriend you if, you don't believe in whatever politics or belief systems that they're sitting there preaching about on their posts. Like, I can't, like, there's one thing I definitely don't talk about, like, when it comes to social media. I never discuss politics, never post anything that I feel that would be a way to create division, because social media and just the whole era we're in with, like, the Me Too and just calling everybody out, or even just being on, like, say we're walking down the street and, somebody's getting mugged. Instead of trying to interject, people would rather just be like, oh my God, I got to film that. Or if someone's getting beat up and a fight breaks out, like, they're just going to sit around and film, and, like, it's a source of entertainment for them. Like, we're in a really weird time. With the whole cancel culture thing too, like, I mean, trying to call, like, Dr. Seuss racist and cancel Pepe Le Pew, because they think that Looney Tunes character is, too sexual aggressive towards women and it's demeaning, or a rapist or whatever. It's just, it's a very crazy time that we're in right now. And it's so easy to, like, get your message out and let yourself be heard. But I feel like a lot of people take that for granted, and it's it's like an abuse of power and freedom to have on there. When Facebook says what's on your mind, I feel like we don't necessarily have to always air our dirty laundry.
No, I'm 100% with you, and I've gotten to the point where I ban myself from scrolling. I don't allow myself to go on and just... I feel like it's my responsibility what I put into my mind and my energy. And if you happen to scroll around and see a bunch of stuff, it clouds up your energy and your vibration. I don't need to hear everybody's opinion about everything.
Right.
I don't care what you had for lunch. I don't want to hear how you feel about this politics or that politics. Like, it's a lot. I feel like there's no relief. By continually being open to social, you're having the whole world just dump themselves onto you.
Right.
My boyfriend did this to me. Oh, I hate when people do this. And that's one of the ways that I stay at peace is I'm completely unavailable for that.
Right.
I don't even want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. I have to monitor how much I allow that stuff in, because it'll start to affect me.
Well, it's like you said too, when you're scrolling and first thing in the morning, a simple little thing could predict your mood for the day.
Oh, and I've totally been there. Like, I'm not judging people because I've been there, to where I hear one thing and it'll bother me what someone said, and then it gets me a little grumpy.
Yeah.
And then I've given my power away because I've allowed somebody else to infiltrate my personal world. So by being very selective, at least in the beginning of the day, I'll put on music, I'll put on motivational messages, and by allowing myself to get all of that in first, I feel like I have an armor around myself. So if someone says something stupid, I don't care, because I've already fed my soul. I've already come in grounded to where you could say anything. I don't even care.
Right. I agree with you 100%. And I feel like people are too addicted to social media. What was that Netflix documentary that came out last year? The Social Dilemma was pretty incredible because all these people that have created stuff for Google or different social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, are talking about how they even got hooked on their own creations and it became an addiction. They had to learn how to put the phone down properly. I mean, let's take a look at when we go out to a restaurant, for example. How many people are glued to their phones, let alone sitting at their own table? I watched a group of 4 people all sitting, staring at their phones, doing God knows what,
No,
not engaging in a social conversation.
Yeah, no, there's a certain amount of social skills that are being lost in this virtual world. No, I've done the same thing. I think I was at a park, and I saw a circle of people. There was maybe 6 or 7 people standing in a circle looking at their phones. I'm like, what's going on here? And then I realized they're just standing there in their own little social bubble world. No one's saying anything. No one's even looking at each other. It's so rude, too.
It is.
I mean, if I go out to eat with someone, be present with me. Let's have a conversation. Let's look in each other's eyes and let's talk. And if you come there and you're scrolling on your phone or texting back this person, and it's so rude, but it's become so normal that people don't realize how rude it is and how you're missing out on life. Life is passing you by. Life is in the moment. You have a real life person in front of you, and you're worried about some virtual world that's just... And let's just say, people are going to show you on social media what they want you to see. You're getting a sliver of someone's life.
Right.
They're going to show you, oh, look at me doing this, look at me doing that. And, that's not their whole life. They're just showing you what they want to see.
Yeah, they're candy coating the good moments.
Yeah, you're not seeing the full spectrum of a person's life.
But,
so you may think that you know a person, but this is just what they want you to see. And then, so you have to understand that about the socials.
Yeah, and then there's, you'll see posts, people airing their dirty laundry, their domestic problems and whatnot. Some people use that as a cry for help, and I take those, posts pretty seriously, especially if it's somebody that I know, because they may not have someone else that they can really reach out to. You know what I mean? Maybe they feel that this is going to be part of the healing process, or if they can find some kind of means of help and support that way. Or if they're grieving a loved one that has passed away, or, one of their pets. But when I use social media, I try to, highlight the fun moments, but I'm real too at the same time. And I try to post empowering things. Like when I go on Facebook Live, I used to do this a lot. I don't really do it a whole lot anymore, but I would just kind of try to, be like, hey, how's everyone doing? Let's all try to motivate one another, ourselves. We're going through a tough time right now. Let's try to find a creative, positive outlet. Going back to what we were saying, doesn't matter if it's, hiking or doing, a simple little thing, just something to get our mind off of what's troubling us, what's creating that anxiety, what's creating that stress. And that's one thing that I'm practicing a lot more than I preach right now is stress management, even though I'm preaching a lot about stress management, because I'm trying to do everything I can on a daily basis to keep myself grounded. The first thing I do upon waking up in the morning is I have tea and I sit out on my patio because it's relaxing to me.
I love that.
My dogs come sit out on the patio with me, and it's a very relaxing thing, and then I make my, meal replacement smoothie, hop in the shower, and then I'm off to work. Sometimes I have to see a patient as soon as I get into work. And then there's days that, I don't even have patients, and I'm basically just doing administrative work or researching, because I'm always constantly trying to figure out how I can, find my bearings and my footing and make myself unique as a health coach myself.
Well, I love that you put, like, the fact that you're a health coach and you take that little teen moment for yourself, you're able to be a whole grounded person for other people.
Well, you got to practice what you preach. I feel like,
Yeah.
like I have a patient, and she made a comment to me that yesterday. She's just like, I really look forward to coming to your appointments, or my appointments with you, because you just make me feel good leaving here. Like, you're so easy to talk to. And that's very, like, relieving for me. And, I try to connect with my patients the best that I can. I'm certified as a life coach in a form of advanced psychology called ecology, and their principles are, in order to help others, first of all, you got to be able to understand and be comfortable with yourself, and that's a very hard thing to do, and you can't always do that. Let's be real, we're only human. But the other side of it is you got to put yourself in your patient's shoes and try to find that common ground of how you guys can form a bond and connection, because you want your patient to feel comfortable with you. That's part of the healing process, and you're there to aid them. I also do microcurrent neurofeedback, which helps reset the neural paths in your brain and is a form of therapy. So I see patients that range from, all ages. I've seen stroke patients. I've seen autistic children. I've seen people suffering from insomnia, high amounts of stress, having, gait issues, vertigo, tinnitus. I mean, the list really goes on. Addiction. So that's a very interesting form of healing that I got into. Kind of just fell in my lap when I was already working. I'm making my transition from working in the music industry full time to this being my day job career, and then just doing music purely at night for the most part. So it's been a very interesting journey for myself, and last year was just a good reminder that you really have to always expect the unexpected to happen. We never saw this pandemic coming, and I didn't fold under pressure. I didn't, freak out like a lot of people did. I mean, there's people that were complaining a month into this pandemic about not being able to go out to bars or shows or do what they like. And it just was a good, clear reminder to me. I was like, thank God I don't look at life that way. These people feel like caged animals or caged prisoners that have no freedom. All their freedoms have been taken away from them.
Yeah, and some people, I love to see how people pivot, and during this pandemic, they've transformed their business, made it virtual, or I love to see people who can take shit and flip it around and use it to their advantage. You will see there's certain people that no matter what happens, they find the strength to make it through. And there's other people that it doesn't matter what happens, they'll find something to complain about. Even if life is beautiful and perfect, they're complaining, I gotta go to work, oh, it's Monday. Then there's a pandemic, oh, I can't work, when will I work again? Oh, I'm stuck at home. It's like, no matter what is happening, if you're a complainer, you're going to complain. What I found is the pandemic brought out whoever you are, it magnified it. If you're a fighter, a strong person who, no matter what happens, you will find some way to get through it, that's what happened.
Right.
If you're a whiner and a complainer, that's what you're going to do during the pandemic. If you're a pissed off, angry person, you're going to be ranting and raving, pissed off during the pandemic. It's like everyone has their natural kind of default. Everyone has different emotions, but like there's default emotions that you'll just go to.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that's awesome that, you had the skills and the mindset to take the situation and stay centered during it. Because, yeah, no, I mean, that was crazy having to hear everyone's opinion and, freaking out and buying all the toilet paper, and I was just like, you know what?
All the hoarding. And,
I was like, eventually the toilet paper's coming back. It's not extinct for life. There might be a delay in getting the toilet paper to the stores.
Right.
But I was so calm. I was like, you know what? I know, trust, and believe that I will be able to have enough toilet paper. And to go to the store and clear out all the soap. Well, you know that means that some people don't have soap and they're going to touch their unsoaped hands around stuff. So when you're thinking of only yourself and freaking out and hoarding, it's just nuts to me.
It was like pure hysteria that started. I don't know who gave, society the idea that we're going into some kind of apocalypse where we need to stock up on supplies. Like we're not going to be able to go outdoors for, an extended period of time. And that was just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a certain panic mode, and I feel like I have this gift that I am cool as a cucumber in a crazy crisis situation.
Right.
Like, I mean, my son had a seizure while I'm driving down the freeway a few years back.
Your son did?
But yeah. I'm driving, he started to have a seizure, and when there's a crisis, there's no time for freaking out. There's no time for emotions. Mm-hmm. It's like I had to pull over, call 911, get him, and I'm cool as a cucumber. It's like I have to be level-headed. I've just learned that when you panic, it makes the situation worse. Mm-hmm. So no matter what's going on, the best thing to do is just stay calm.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Well, we're getting near the end here. So any final thoughts that you want to give the viewers out there and the listeners?
Well, yeah, first, thanks for having me. I was so excited and happy to be here. I'm hoping that, someone out there got something from my message. And if anything, my main message is fuck fear. I get scared and I show up and do it anyways. And that is why I've been so successful in my life is I don't allow whatever I'm feeling to stop me. Feel what you need to feel. Find some type of creative outlet. Sing, dance, go boxing, write. Find some kind of passion to put your emotions in and keep on moving. So that's probably just my main message is fuck fear, do it anyways, find a passion to outlet your emotions. And I mean, if you just do that, you'll find your way and you'll be okay. Awesome.
How can people find you on social media?
Right now at Insta, go to Katie Marie VIP. I'm currently redoing my website. I want to add a bunch of different resources and things I'm adding. But for now, if you just go to my Insta, find me, connect with me. I'm all about, positivity. And you can go and through my bio, you can get on my VIP mailing list, and I send all kinds of awesome resources. So,
what kind of resources?
Oh my goodness. Well, I have different videos showing different breathing techniques and, just different things that I've used. I'll send to my list. There's certain things I'll put on social, but if you want to go maybe more to a deeper level and get some free, little worksheets and journaling prompts and just, it's really a whole mishmash of whatever I feel.
Okay.
So, that's one way if you wanted to get some resources for me.
And could people book appointments with you one-on-one?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you know what Linktree is.
Yeah, I have that.
I have a Linktree on my bio to where you can get on my free list. Through there, you can link up to my scheduler, and I have different programs at different times that usually will be through there.
Okay, cool.
But, yeah, no,
Sorry,
thanks.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Oh my goodness. Siri's trying to enter the conversation. Well, yeah, thanks for having me. I had, fun talking with you, and
Yeah, my pleasure. Usually, I don't engage this much in the conversation. It's mostly the guest doing all the talking, but it's interesting, because we're both health coaches and we both went to the same school and have a lot of the same, general mindset. So I really appreciate you coming here today. And that wraps up another episode of The King's Couch. I'm your host with the most, Sulo King, and this was my guest, Katie Marie of Katie Marie VIP. Thank you for tuning in, and have a nice day.